We start our program.
With truth and love, our college getting cold. Come be a strong and youthful band. For God and country, really pledge we all. Led by the flag for which we stand. Blue for the mind that seeks the good and true. Red for our progress in the game. White for the glory of a heart that's pure. Bright with a never shining flame. Alma mater, we hail. God give the earth and great success. With truth and love, we'll conquer all. For God, our land, and SFS. Alma mater, we hail. God give the earth and great success. With truth and love, we'll conquer all. For God, our land, and SFS. With truth and love, let us unite and be true to our glorious college name. High on the hill, a beacon light is she, leading our children on to faith. March on to glory is a message bold. Spread truth and love both far and wide. Loyal to the hands who reigns of guidance. Teacher and pupil side by side. Alma mater, we hail. God give the earth and great success. With truth and love, we'll conquer all. For God, our land, and SFS. Alma mater, we hail. God give the earth and great success. With truth and love, we'll conquer all. For God, our land, and SFS.
An advice is truly valuable when people not just give it their ears, but also their obedience. Good morning, everyone. I hope you all are doing well. This is Toshve Durve from 12th Standard. On behalf of the management, Principal Dr. Katie Thomas Sir of St. Francis Day Sales College, Nagpur, I feel privileged to extend my warm welcome to all present here on the ninth day of this faculty development program. Innovation means replacing the best practices of today with those of tomorrow. Our topic for the session is best practices in inculcating teachers' professionalism. Today, we not only have an interesting personality but also a multi talented person with us. I feel honored to introduce you to Dr. Poonam Nigam Sahay, Madam, an academician to the core. Dr. Poonam ma'am grew up in an intellectually stimulating environment in Delhi, schooling from Presentation Convent High School and graduating from Miranda House. She then shifted to Ranchi, where she became a lecturer in the university. Currently, an associate professor in English, Madam is actively teaching undergraduate and postgraduate students, supervising many for their PhD, MPhil, and MA dissertations. Also, Dr. Sahay is a poet, writing bilingually in Hindi and English, and has published several anthologies. Her research articles are also widely published in international and national journals of repute. Madam has presented research papers in international conferences at Vancouver, Sydney, USA, China, and Hong Kong. She is also an editor, a freelancer, a trainer, and a motivator. Ma'am has wide ranging interests from literature, linguistics, media and communication to women's issue, children's literature, cooking, photography, and gardening. It's an opportunity for us to accumulate knowledge from such a dynamic person. Before we continue, I would like to inform the viewers that they can post their queries in the Google Meet chat box or in the YouTube live. Now, without further ado, I request our today's guest, Dr. Poonam Sahay ma'am, to begin with the session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Toshi. Thank you for the warm introduction that you have given, and I hope I'll be doing justice to it. And first of all, I would like to wish our principal sir, respected principal sir, all my colleagues that are assembled here, and all, and if there are any students, well, students also, dear students. So today I stand before you to discuss a very important topic that is often, neglected. We are we are supposed to be professionals, but that word has got a stigma. In the layman's language, we really do not know how people are taking it or interpreting it. And so therefore, there becomes an anachronism. So I will deal with it today, and I hope you will be satisfied with it. And of course, then I am on the anvil for all your questions. Thank you. So I'm presenting now. So, well, as you see, the topic is best practices in inculcating teacher professionalism. Now, the very first thing that occurs to mind on seeing this title is, what is teacher professionalism? The very term seems to be an anachronism in itself. What is meant by a professional, and is a teacher a professional? Now, here I would be differentiating in the layman's language. If you say that somebody is too much of a professional, you mean that they don't have those human instincts and they are just bothered about what they are doing. I mean, it's purely a commercial kind of a service that they are giving. And if you say, is a teacher a professional? Well, that means again that the teacher is not at all bothered about the human aspects of his profession, his or her profession. So we are really foxed as to what we should think. It is also necessary, however, not only to see it from the layman's point of view, but to see how these terms figure in scholarly debates. Keeping all these questions in mind, we shall discuss various things in our ensuing conversation, that is, the definitions of professionalism, the criteria of professionalism, the characteristics of a professional teacher, and the status quo of the teachers as well. The concept of professionalism in teaching is commonly discussed on sociological, educational, and ideological bases in literature. The need to attain and develop certain standards and benchmarking criteria for all professions has increased in today's competitive work conditions. It is these standards that create a professional environment of best practice procedures, enabling organizations to confidently create systems, policies, and procedures of high operational quality. It is also this phenomenon which makes a current issue of improving the occupation standards and qualifications of teachers to comply with the contemporary developments. The dynamic nature of the term teacher professionalism has been a controversial one in different occupation groups with a long history, especially in sociological terms. This lends it to multiple interpretations, introducing different definitions of the concept with different functions. The meaning of the term changes as a response to external pressures, public discourses, and scientific developments. It is quite important to locate conceptions of teacher professionalism in relation to changing historical, political, and social contexts because multiple meanings have changed and developed over time and in contestation between rival stakeholder groups and their interests. Now, the term profession and professor have their etymological roots in the Latin for profess. To be a professional or a professor was to profess to be an expert in some skill or field of knowledge. Later, Hoyle defined professionalism as those strategies and rhetorics employed by members of an occupation in seeking to improve status, salary, as well as conditions. In another work, Hoyle in 2001 states that professionalism is related to the improvement in the quality of service rather than the enhancement of status. And this is a very important statement for us. Boyd, Lush, and Naylor in 2001 explained the concept as a multi-dimensional structure consisting of one's attitudes and behaviors towards his or her job, and it refers to the achievement of high-level standards. If we synthesize the definitions up to now, it is possible to interpret professionalism as a multi-dimensional structure, including one's work behaviors and attitudes to perform the highest standards and improve the service quality, which should be our aim in any case. Before deepening the teacher professionalism discussions, it would be useful to mention the distinction between the two terms, professionalism and professionalization, which usually accompany each other in scholarly discourses. Professionalization is related to promoting the material and ideal interests of an occupational group, and hence refers to more of commercial aspects. Whereas professionalism focuses on the question of what qualifications and acquired capacities, what competence is required for the successful exercise of an occupation. David refers to 5 commonly cited professionalism criteria. 1. Professions provide an important public service. 2. They involve a theoretically as well as practically grounded expertise. 3. They have a distinct ethical dimension which calls for expression in a code of practice. They require organization and regulation for purposes of recruitment and discipline is the 4th point. And 5th, professional practitioners require a high degree of individual autonomy, independence of judgment for effective practice. These are very, very important for us to develop professionalism in the true sense. Barber explains 4 main characteristics of professional behavior as follows: a high degree of generalized and systematic knowledge, orientation primarily to community interest rather than to individual self-interest. This point needs special consideration. A high degree of self-control of behavior through codes of ethics in the process of work socialization, and a system of rewards seen primarily as symbols of work achievements. Now, autonomy is one of the main focuses featured in professionalism characteristics. Forsyth and Danishwiz contributes professionalism debates, stating the tasks of professionals to be very important, exclusive, as well as complex, so that professionals should have the autonomous decision-making powers free from external pressures. I think that especially relates to teachers. Another author states that one of the major objectives and attractions of movement to professionalize teachers is to provide professional autonomy. Autonomy is thus an essential component of teacher professionalism, and it provides both an individual decision making areas to achieve one's aims and an effect on controlling the situations related to his or her work. Autonomy not only functions as a buffer against the pressures on teachers, but also means of strengthening them in terms of personal and professional sense. Consequently, it has an opposite function of organizational control as per Johnson and Bull. Now, thus, we can summarize professionalism. It appears that the focuses on defining and conceptualizing the nature of professionalism are the respectability status of the occupation, improvement of service quality, achievement of the highest standards, self control, and professional autonomy. Now, all of you would agree that these are the key factors that we must concentrate upon while developing a teacher professionalism. And this is not only for the college teachers, but also for the school teachers. I speak thus. Behind the arguments that teaching is a professional or a semi professional occupation, the questioning whether teaching meets the criteria attributed to professional occupations lies. Traditional sociological approach delineates key traits of a professional occupation largely based upon law and medicine. Why I have taken law and medicine? Because actually we see that law and medicine are highly paid and they are highly respected. The teaching service was also respected much long time before, but just now, maybe due to the drawbacks of some teachers, and maybe due to the drawback of some students, so faults on either side, and therefore the status of teacher has become highly compromised. And thus, I thought this would be a very good topic to speak on and concentrate and stress upon. According to this approach, while the classical occupations like medicine and law are associated with high status and pay, the others seek an opportunity to attain such rewards through a professionalization process. More specifically, teachers are monitored by their administrators in terms of the consistency between their performance and the standards set before. Hence we question our autonomy. I mean, do we really have autonomy if we are going to be administered at every step? But then an organization does need to be monitored. And if there won't be a hierarchy monitoring it, things are bound to go haywire. As a result of this, they are directed and shaped by the administrators to achieve organizational goals, which may be particular for every organization. So their autonomy is restricted. But I don't think we should harp on this as a drawback at all. This should be seen that we have to achieve goals in the long term, and so this is necessary. Depending on the educational context, it is possible to say that definitions of teacher professionalism focuses on teachers' professional qualifications, such as being good at his or her job, fulfilling the highest standards, and achieving excellence. For example, Baggini, 2005, claims that for today's teachers, professionalism is interpreted in different terms. To what extent the teachers outcome the difficulties, and what extent they are able to use their skills and experiences related to their profession. On the most basic level, professional teacher refers to the status of a person who is paid to teach. On a higher level, it can refer to teachers who represent the best in their profession and set the highest standards. That is the difference, my dear colleagues, in being commercial and in being truly humane and living up to the profession. Now, Phelps 2006 believes professionalism is enhanced when teachers use excellence as a critical criterion for judging their actions and attitudes. In other words, professionalism is measured by the best and highest standards. In scholarly debates, two versions of teacher professionalism are portrayed as old professionalism and new professionalism as well. We often come across this dichotomy because the teachers who were there in yesteryears, they say, oh, things have changed, and now things are not so as they used to be in the old times. And the new people and the people who have come in, they say, yes, it was easier perhaps in those times, and you did not have to bother with this and that, and therefore it is more tough to be a teacher right now. Sachs 2003, who developed this classification, differentiates these two approaches as thus: old professionalism is concerned with exclusive membership, excuse me, conservative practices, self-interest, external regulation, slow to change, and reactive. So now we come to the new transformative professionalism, hopefully. It consists of inclusive membership, public ethical code of practice, collaborative and collegial, activist orientation, flexible and progressive, responsive to change, self-regulating, policy active, inquiry-oriented, and knowledge-building. So you see, there is a vast difference between the old and new professionalism, or the definitions of professionalism now. New understanding of teacher professionalism provides professional space and conditions for the teachers to take responsibility in their practices. Sachs calls this transition from old to new understanding as transformative professionalism. His approach to teacher professionalism can be interpreted as an attempt to revitalize the concept in a rapidly changing work environment. He considers the teacher professionalism issue as a social and political strategy to promote the status of teaching profession. His approach is an alternative I'm sorry for the error over here. His approach is an alternative to the old professionalism. He considers the teacher professionalism issue as a social and political strategy to promote the status of teaching profession. His approach is an alternative and contemporary one as compared to the traditional approach. Hargreaves 2000 analyzes the development of teacher professionalism as passing through four critical historical phases, I would say, in many countries. So it's not limited to any country. It is every country that is experiencing this. The key features of these phases could be summarized in 4 points. The pre-professional age. In this age, teaching was managerially demanding, but technically simple. So the teachers were only expected to carry out the directives of their knowledgeable superiors. The age of the autonomous professional. This age was remarked by a challenge to the singularity of teaching and the unquestioned traditions on which it is based. Third is the age of the collegial profession. This age draws attention with the increasing efforts towards creating strong professional cultures of collaboration to develop a common purpose, to cope with uncertainty and complexity, and to respond to the rapid changes and reforms effectively. The fourth is the post professional age. This age is marked by a struggle between forces and groups intent on deprofessionalizing the work of teaching, and other forces and groups who are seeking to redefine teacher professionalism and professional learning in more positive and principled postmodern ways that are flexible, wide ranging, and inclusive in nature. Now we come to the best practices. In such a scenario, which are the best practices that we should adopt and go ahead for teacher professionalism? So with this complex background, we come to what should a teacher do to attain professionalism and how should she or he go about it? To develop a strong sense of professionalism, a teacher must focus on the critical elements of attitude, behavior, and communication. A teacher must focus on the critical elements of attitude, behavior, and communication, and must develop the characteristics of a professionalism and model professionalism, so to say, every day. Aside from academic qualifications, professional teachers must act in an ethical manner based on an explicit or implicit code of conduct. Now, we come to the very strong word in all these three elements, and that is attitude. Now, please do not interpret it in the layman's sense of the term, because if you say that somebody has got attitude, you mean that the person has got a lot of ego, the person has got a lot of pride, and is unable to accommodate other viewpoints or other people at all. But I want to stress on attitude because attitude is everything. A positive attitude is an essential component of professionalism for us. Beginning at the simplest level, teachers cannot let their personal lives interfere with their professional attitude. Even when having a bad day, a teacher still needs to maintain a positive attitude and not take out a bad mood on the students. A professional needs to push away outside concerns or distractions and focus on the task at hand. No one would want a surgeon to let out personal anger interfere with his patient's operation. Similarly, a teacher shouldn't let negative feelings spill over to the students. One of the best things a teacher can do is to have affection for his or her students. It is so important for students to know that the teachers care for them. A professional doesn't view his or her profession as just a job, but rather sees it as a calling that is all about caring for children. No matter, even if the students are quite big, they will remain children in front of you. The ability to make personal connections with students is an identifiable trait of a successful teacher. And this really, from my own experience, I speak now that this is a very important element that will take you miles ahead in teacher professionalism. Students pass and then they remember you, they come back to you, and they say such things that are the rewards of this profession. That is why teaching is supposed to be the most noble profession, I believe. It's easy to fall into the trap of focusing on the negative. Yes, teaching is a demanding profession, but if teachers dwell on the challenges, they could easily spend all their time complaining. Now, challenges are for the good. Challenges are not for the bad. If we have some drawbacks within the class, or we have some drawbacks within the school or the college or the organization we are working in, I believe we should not spend time complaining, but we should try to seek solutions. Therefore, Lawrence urged that every teacher resist the pettiness of the staff lounge and behave like a true educator. Every job and profession has its ups and downs, and a true professional focuses his or her energy in a positive way. This calls for an attitude of assertiveness. When a teacher sees that something is not working well, he or she needs to take action and seek solutions. Risk taking is yet another element, but extreme caution and consideration have to be exercised before taking a meaningful decision. Why? Because it is going to impact lives on every side. On the side of the teachers, so many teachers will be impacted, and on the side of the students, so many students will be impacted. And on the side of the organization as well, if you create a precedence, you have to see that you are trying to create a proper precedence. There can be no accomplishment without taking some risk, however. A professional should be willing to take risks and try new things and thus avoid falling into a rut and becoming stagnant. An attitude of confidence is yet another key component of professionalism. Lack of confidence can lead to social errors and unprofessional behavior. Teachers must know and they must trust themselves and their abilities to be able to do something properly. An attitude of initiative is also an important element. Professionals set goals for themselves and their students. They know what they want to achieve. Now, we can say that sometimes we don't know what we want to achieve. And sometimes we don't know how to set goals for ourselves. But that can be done. That can be done by consulting with the necessary people, by trying to write. People crib generally about writing lesson plans or writing, giving a record of their entire teaching during a particular semester. But I really think it helps you to set out your prerogatives and streamline yourself more wonderfully. One of the first signs that pre-service teachers are becoming more professional is that they start taking initiative rather than waiting for the advice to come from their seniors, though of course in consultation with the same. So this is quite welcome. Lastly, effective teachers need to commit themselves to being lifelong learners. We are all lifelong learners. Nobody can say, oh, I know everything and I don't need to study anymore. I've completed my PhD and perhaps my DLit, and then I don't need to learn anymore. We are in a profession which makes us learn every day. Every day, every student has got a lesson for you, believe me. And all these cumulative teaching experiences make you a better teacher than before. Wong and Wong described a professional as someone who, without supervision or regulation, is a responsible person, has a continuing growth plan to achieve competence, and strives continuously to raise the level of each new group of students. Hurst and Redding stress the importance of professionals staying current in their field. That means they should be always updating themselves. It's not bad to hold on to traditional practices, but then with the current technological scenario, one needs to update oneself constantly. The next critical element is behavior, and preparedness is one behavior associated with professionalism and an important focus in the current standards movement. The teacher should know the subject matter and teach it effectively so students can learn. The teacher should know the content and the methodology of what they have to teach. Teachers need to be prepared every time they enter the classroom. This is very necessary, and I would really emphasize upon this point. If you just spend 5 minutes every day trying to recap, what you're going to do the next time you enter a class. I believe you will be more prepared for taking a class and in a more effective manner. Many beginner teachers underestimate how much time, proper planning, and preparation entail. The sooner they understand this will be the best for them. Punctuality, as another critical behavior associated with professionalism, is very important. Tardiness does not go over well in the school or the college setting. Children cannot be left unsupervised. Therefore, it is critical that teachers arrive on time, whether it is for the start of the day or not. Professionals metaphorically live in glass houses. So we should be very, very careful. They are under constant scrutiny and are held to the highest moral and ethical standards. Teachers, expected to be role models for their students, must carefully examine how their behavior, both in and out of the classroom, might make an impression on others. A teacher's actions and influence as a role model can either help or harm others. Like it or not, people are often judged by their appearance. A professional is expected to dress in a respectable manner. Wong and Wong caution, you will be treated as you are dressed. And that has nothing to do with expensive dresses. It must be that you must be neat and clean and tidy. So that's very important. Clothes that are too provocative, casual, or sloppy are inappropriate. Body piercings, tattoos, and other bold fashions are simply out. They are looked upon unfavorably, particularly in the teaching profession. Now we come to the third very critical element, and this is communication. Communication is very, very essential. Teachers no longer can go into their classrooms, shut the door, and do their own thing. The changing nature of education calls for teachers to collaborate with others and work effectively as a team towards common goals. Collaboration is essential for meeting the needs of all students. Hurst and Reading maintain that professional support and encouraging your colleagues is very, very important. The teachers must work to create a sense of community and bonding that will carry over to the students' work. A professional should sound like an educated person, always using proper speech and grammar. Here again, teachers need to be appropriate role models for their students. And I would stress the need to consult your colleagues always and frequently because this is very important. Seifert opines that becoming truly professional is a lifelong challenge. Professionalism is a process more than an outcome, a way of encountering new students and new classroom problems, and of finding meaning and solutions to them as you grow. It's a constant growth, and it's not an upright growth, it is a spiral growth. You change very slowly and you just do not know how you are changing. And it is not a thing acquired or worn like a piece of clothing. At no time will you have become professional once and for all. Thank you for being a patient listener. Thank you.
Teaching is the profession that teaches all other professions. Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable insight on the topic best practices in inculcating teachers' professionalism. I'm thankful to you, ma'am, for sharing your precious time with us from your busy schedule and letting us explore from the vast treasure of your knowledge and experience. Now, moving ahead, there are few questions asked by our viewers. So, with your permission, ma'am, I would like to forward them to you. May I? Ma'am, there are few questions asked by our viewers. So, with your permission, I would like to forward them to you. May I, ma'am? Ma'am, can you hear me? Participants, please be patient. Ma'am will join again. We are facing some technical issues, so please be calm and patient.
There is some technical issue from the guest side. So, ma'am will be joining in a minute.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. You are audible.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Toshri, you can start now.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Teaching is the profession that teaches all other professions. Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable insight on the topic best practices in inculcating teachers' professionalism. I'm thankful to you, ma'am, for sharing your precious time with us from your busy schedule and letting us explore from the vast treasure of your knowledge and experience. Now, moving ahead, ma'am, there are few questions asked by our viewers. So, with your permission, I would like to forward them to you. May I, ma'am?
Definitely, definitely.
Okay. So, the first question is the fragile condition in which the teacher work today, lack of proper remuneration, lack of respect from students, abuse are some of the conditions that teachers work in. In your opinion, how should a teacher negate all the problems to find solace in teaching?
Okay, now this is a problem that I envisaged earlier, and I would say that we must look at it whether are we responsible for it in part at all. We should try to. I mean, we can't do some of the teachers have spoiled the reputation of teachers on account of commercialization, too many tuitions, etc., etc. You see, so because of that, people are not respecting the status of teachers as such, and maybe proper remuneration is a different issue from here. So first of all, let's talk about creating respect. So I really think that if you have knowledge and if you are able to give them something that students feel that yes, from this teacher I get a lot of things. So he or she is bound to respect you. For remuneration, you'll have to go about it the very proper way, I expect. It depends upon what your service conditions were and how they can be improved. There are ways and methods to go about for that also.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. The second question is, can the replacement of a teacher by robots be a consequence of the development of information technology in education?
Could you repeat that again, Toshi?
Yes, ma'am, of course. Can the replacement of a teacher by robots be a consequence of the development of information technology in education?
I really think this is utopia. You cannot think about these things at all, and you need not be frightened at all by these things. How can a robot replace a human being? I do not think that that can ever happen because robots have to be programmed and the human response is unique in itself. So how can you really think that a robot can compare with you? So I really think you should remove this from your mind and start thinking positively in this sense.
Yes, ma'am. So the last question is, in your opinion, is there any difference between a good teacher and a professional teacher?
Well, a good teacher and a professional teacher. Now, we aren't creating a dichotomy between the two, but the good teacher must essentially be a professional teacher as well.
Yeah.
You see, the counts that I just suggested on which you can develop your professionalism. So, naturally, the more professional you become, again, I said, don't take the layman's sense of the term. You must take the scholarly interpretation of the word, and you are going to become better and better. Definitely. Thank you. They're
Thank
very
you,
good
ma'am.
questions. We should
Thank you.
reflect upon them and uh, induce ourselves to introspection. And I believe we'll come out with fantastic answers as well. Thank you. Thank you. And I would
Thank you,
like to
ma'am.
thank the principal, sir, and St. Francis de Sales College Dilip ji, Toshi, and everybody who is listening. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, Principal Sir, for appearing on this webinar. And it's been a great experience. Thank you all. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am, for addressing all the queries with such an ease and patience. I think we are good to go for now. Today, we might be running out of time, but our minds would never stop thinking about your views, ma'am. I would like to thank our today's guest, Dr. Sahay, ma'am, for sparing her valuable time with us and for sharing such an amazing experiences and keeping us motivated. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you too. Thank you.
Also, I would like to extend my gratitude to the management and our principal, Dr. Terry Thomas sir, for arranging a very informative session for us, our technical team for smooth functioning of today's session, and also our sincere audience for being with us with their calmness and staying in power. Before we
Thank
end
you.
up, I would like to inform all the participants to kindly fill the feedback form, the link of which is provided in the Google Meet chat box and YouTube live chat. Thank you all once again for joining us. Have a wonderful day ahead. Also, let's meet tomorrow for an interesting session with Professor Shine Anthony sir. Thank you so much.
A great thanks to everybody again.